Imagine this. You finally buy your dream car, a Porsche GT4RS in shark blue. The wait was brutal. Allocation stress, delays, anticipation, but it's finally yours. A $250,000 Porsche. But before you can really drive it, there's one last step. PPF. You do your homework, local shop, 34 years in business, 4.9 star reviews, nice cars, and online portfolio. Seems like a no-brainer, so you book it. You're not just a PPF customer, you're a car guy. You grew up with a Porsche poster on your wall, cars are in your DNA, this moment is supposed to be perfect. But, unfortunately, it turns into a total nightmare. The shop absolutely butchers the PPF, and when you question it, they don't own it. They gaslight you. They tell you you're wrong. They lie straight to your face, even after they see proof on the car and in photos. No refund, no accountability, just excuses. It gets so bad you actually consider selling the car and walking away from the whole experience. That's when most people call a lawyer. But you're a nice guy. You just want it fixed. You want it perfect. You want the happy ending you originally envisioned. So, you call Status Detail. And that's where the story really begins. I reassure you that I can fix everything and make the car look better than when you saw it delivered at the dealership. You get your first good night's sleep in a while knowing the Porsche expert is going to fix everything and this isn't your problem anymore. Oh, and by the way, for first-time Status viewers, I'm Evan, owner of Status Detail. For a decade, I've been redefining what perfect looks like in the detail industry. Paint correction, ceramic, PPF, all in-house. A bespoke process paired with next-level customer service. The final product is so special that nearly every customer is out of state and ships their car across the country just to receive a Status Detail. So today, we're rescuing this GT4RS from a nightmare PPF job and showing every supercar owner the truth. Not every shop can be trusted with a $250,000 machine. This shop even tried blaming their mistakes on us. Don't worry, I have proof and receipts on everything. Jokes aside, this one probably could have ended with lawyers if the owner wasn't such a nice guy. And yes, I have seen customers sue shops before. Sit back and relax because
you're gonna see some serious shit.
You're about to watch a Status Detail that was nearly 2 weeks long and almost $18,000. Time to end this disastrous nightmare. Don't worry, I'll fix everything the last shop tried to hide and restore this supercar to the masterpiece it should have always been. Basically, I'm about to
exorcise the demons.
And if you're new here, well, welcome to your new favorite detailing channel.
Yes! Yes!
Before the car even got shipped to Status Detail, we had several virtual consultations with photos and videos. Once I saw all of this information, I could confirm to the owner that he indeed was not crazy and that he did have a seriously bad installation. We confirmed that they were indeed gaslighting him and the customer was not the problem. They were. That's when he called George from Unlimited Auto to get the car to Status Detail. We usually show the smaller trailer that George from Unlimited Auto has, but this is the Mac Daddy, the 6-car double-decker, state-of-the-art trailer. George at Unlimited Auto is awesome and he makes this shipping process incredibly easy and streamlined. Once we got the car inside, I saw for the first time what the customer had been seeing. And honestly, it's burned into my memory.
Ooh, memory burn.
I mean, it was bad. Not just bad, beyond bad. This was the worst installation I had ever seen. I've never seen so many issues on a single panel, let alone on an entire car. I genuinely didn't even know it was possible to make this many mistakes. What you're seeing on camera are just some of the issues. Dirt and debris trapped under the film, gouges in the film, pre-tack marks, stretch lines, adhesive lines, peeling edges, and a bunch of other problems that are honestly hard to even explain. Now to be clear, no install is absolutely dictionary definition perfect. A full body install might have a speck of dust or two, maybe even a light stretch line somewhere. That's normal. But this car, this hood alone probably has 20 separate issues. Each fender, the front bumper, they all have as many issues. What genuinely confuses me is how a shop could look at work like this, smile, shake the owner's hand, and act like they did a good job, and then actually try to defend it. Let me know in the comments, if this was your car, how would you feel? Would you want a full refund? Would you be upset? Or maybe hold that thought, because this is just what I saw in the first 5 minutes. We barely even scratched the surface, and it's about to get a lot worse. If any shop turns out work like this, especially on something super high visibility, then they owe you a refund, not a redo. They don't have the eyes or talent or general care for the process to get this stuff right. They also, unfortunately, put PPF on the headlights, which is a known no-no in the Porsche world. Porsche has a very special hydrophobic coating that's applied to the lens, and when you remove the PPF from the lens, it's highly likely to delaminate. Once the film is old, like beyond a couple years, on the car, it's almost a sure thing that it's going to delaminate your lens and ruin it. It's going to look kind of like ripping clear coat off your paint. Unwrapping a car is usually pretty safe, but when the install is this bad, it becomes a mystery. You have no idea what's hiding under the film. Because of that, we approach this unwrap way more cautiously and a lot slower than usual. Porsche carbon fiber panels are especially sensitive, mirrors and hoods in particular, so we take extra care during removal in cases like this. Steam is critical. It's by far the safest way to remove PPF. A heat gun can work, but that doesn't mean it's the right tool. That's also why we didn't let the other shop handle the removal. We were far more concerned about causing tens of thousands of dollars in carbon fiber and clear coat damage than saving a little bit of money on the unwrap. During the unwrap, I noticed something truly bizarre. Honestly, one of the strangest PPF mistakes I've ever seen on a Porsche. Someone at this shop thought it was a good idea to cut out the air gap around the Porsche hood emblem. If you've watched the channel for a while, you know that air gaps are universally accepted and normal when PPFing over vinyl badges or vinyl stickers. But not to this shop. They tried to cut it out, and I can't overstate how unbelievably stupid that is.
Stupid idiots!
That decision alone told me exactly what I was about to find next. Sure enough, they used way too much pressure and cut directly into the paint. Thankfully, the car was in the right place, and with some careful wet sanding, we were able to significantly improve it. This isn't something you want to chase too hard, especially on Porsche carbon fiber panels, where the clear coat is already thin. Once the new PPF goes on, the hardly visible marks will be hidden in the air gap, so it won't be visible or affect the car. I've redone a lot of cars for a lot of people, and unfortunately this situation is pretty common. I get calls all the time that start with, "Evan, I love your channel and I messed up. I went local because it was easier and a little cheaper, and now they're stuck with a big problem." These guys clearly don't know how to hand cut film, and we're using way too much pressure. Like on a scale of 1 to 10 where you should be at maybe like a 2.5, they were operating at like a solid 12. When we asked the shop about all of this, they claimed they didn't do any hand cutting, that everything was plotted, and they tried to blame us, saying the damage happened during the removal. So I suppose a mysterious ghost grabbed a knife, cut the hood badge, and carved a relief cut way too deep. Because I definitely didn't start cutting badges out during an unwrap. For anyone wondering what actually happened, their pre-cut pieces didn't line up, so they overlapped the film and cut it on the car to make the seam look clean. We do the same thing when we bulk install, just with the correct pressure so we don't damage the paint. And interestingly enough, they never really addressed the hood badge cut marks. My guess, even the owner was so shocked by what he saw in the photos that he was just as speechless as I was at first. And remember, they saw all these photos. We sent them everything. Their response? We've been in business since 1992. That's 34 years. So I guess they've just had 34 years of practice destroying cars. They also had plenty of good reviews, which just proves that good reviews, longevity, and occasionally working on exotics doesn't mean a shop is right for you or your car. It just means their customers either have low standards or don't notice things they obviously should. It could also mean they have a few good installers and a couple really bad installers. Just depends which one you get on your car. They also told the customer they could fix everything quickly and easily. What does that even mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Because the only real fix here was a full removal and reinstall. My guess is their idea of a quick fix was pushing down lifting edges and maybe trimming a thing or two, because nothing about this was quick or easy. And here's the interesting part. According to the customer, the installer who worked on this car is no longer employed there. That's kind of funny and interesting, considering the owner and manager downplayed the issue and denied any damage. Sounds to me like they knew exactly how big of a deal it was, and quietly fired the guy anyway. This car originally only had a full front installed, and thank God for that, because what came next is a detailing shop's worst nightmare. The original shop, which already did a terrible job, used adhesive promoter on every single edge. Let me say that again. Adhesive promoter on every edge. Anyone who knows PPF already understands how insane that is. For those who don't, here's an analogy. Imagine building a deck where you normally use 16 screws per board, and instead you're using 80. Now try removing that board. It's not coming off clean, and whatever is underneath it is getting destroyed in the process. What that means for PPF is the removal became incredibly difficult, took forever, and was way riskier than it should have been, especially on the carbon fiber panels where pulling the clear coat is a real concern. Adhesive promoter does exactly what it sounds like. It makes the PPF adhesive much stronger so edges don't lift. Which is funny, by the way, because despite using it on every edge, they still had multiple edges lifting. That tells me their slip and tack ratios were wrong or the panels weren't prepped correctly, and at this point, that shouldn't surprise anyone. The real problem with adhesive promoter shows up during removal. It leaves behind a massive amount of adhesive residue. Normally, with steam and proper technique, that's manageable. We usually deal with very little residue, but adhesive promoter turns that residue into something closer to like cement, kind of like super gluing a screen protector to your phone. Now multiply that by every edge on the car and you've got a serious issue. If I don't remove 100% of it, and I mean perfectly, any new PPF I install will show imperfections and suddenly it looks like I don't know what I'm doing. Normally we'd just use Geon Tar or a rapid remover or any adhesive remover, soak the area and pressure wash it off. You've seen me do this on the channel before. The problem here? Adhesive promoter turns it into something like concrete. It simply won't pressure wash off, and there's no safe way to remove this much residue. At this point, things went off the rails. I realized we had a serious problem and the focus completely shifted to fixing it. We skipped filming a lot because this took way longer than expected and we ended up charging the customer triple what we initially discussed for the removal. The only way to remove it was soaking the adhesive with tar remover and carefully scraping it with plastic razor blades. These are only used in dire situations with extremely stubborn residue, and this was exactly that. This wasn't just a bad adhesive problem. This was literally the worst case scenario. It's why we couldn't keep filming and we had to focus 100% on cleaning up the mess the original shop left behind. Adhesive promoter should be used almost never. It helps when you need something small and tricky to tack for sure. You should never adhesive promoter every edge of every panel every time on every car as a standard practice. That's completely crazy. I don't even stock or have any adhesive promoter inside of Status Detail. We just don't need it. This kind of stuff really bothers me. I'm a pretty nice guy, so we're not here to name names or hurt anyone's business by any means. That's not what this channel is about. But we do want to protect car enthusiasts. We love cars as much as you do, and we would never want a situation like this to happen to anyone else, especially on a car as beautiful and as expensive as this Porsche. If you haven't seen my recent video on choosing a PPF shop, check that one out. There are a lot of tips to help prevent situations like this. If you're already stuck with a bad installation like this one, reach out. One of my favorite parts of this job is taking a mess and turning it into one of the best experiences a customer has ever had. I love hearing that moment when the car is returned to the owner and he says, "Oh my God, Evan, this looks amazing. I feel like 100 pounds off my back." Saving a beautiful car is why I like to do what I do. So I just wanted to jump on camera really quick with you guys and apologize because I feel like I should have filmed more of like the residue removal stuff. But as I slowly got into this, and I might have already mentioned this in a voiceover, when I was outside and I was doing the pressure washer like stuff with the tar remover and it wasn't working like it typically does, I was like, oh no, like this is gonna be like a really big issue. And I could tell it was gonna be a big issue. So I kind of dropped the camera and started going to work. And even though I wasn't filming as much, we're still basically way behind schedule now. So sometimes when we're filming and something goes way not according to plan, we kind of have to jump into high gear and try and get back on plan and keep the car, you know, moving at the right pace and everything. So that's kind of why there might not be a whole lot of footage of some of that stuff. I don't want to minimize by not showing footage how big of a deal it was. It was a massive deal. This is a catastrophe of an installation. The other shop caused so many problems and this is the worst, hands down the worst installation, worst removal like situation that I've ever seen in all 10 years of me doing this, and it wasn't even close. This was a catastrophe. So I hope that came across on camera because like I said, I didn't film a lot of that stuff and it was because we really just had to jump into high gear and make sure we got everything done so the car was on track and on schedule, and even after doing all that, we're still not on track and on schedule. So back to the show. The paint correction step is extra crucial on cars that have had an unwrap. This car is already in worse shape than when the dealership delivered it. We paint correct cars to a level better than the dealership and manufacturer delivered to the customer. So we are already 2 steps behind here. This makes the final product that much more rewarding to look at. Ultimately, that usually makes the customer that much more excited and blown away. After an unwrap, the paint is far from perfect or swirl-free, but it also acts like a screening process for any residue or issues I missed. When polish or compound ends up hitting a patch of adhesive residue, it really stands out and turns kind of like a white color. So it becomes very obvious that we need to remove that spot. Some of the stuff can really hide in plain sight, and you won't find it until we put a new PPF on. But at that point, it's too late, and it'll ruin the PPF piece that we were installing. This step is about maximizing gloss and removing swirls and scratches. but at the same time, we're doing a final quality control, catching all these little pieces of residue that are hiding, and the abrasive and the polish is like super cleaning the surface of the paint. Ultimately, that's going to mean our PPF is going to adhere really, really well to the car. In a sense, it's almost acting like an adhesive promoter, making sure that the film will stick to the car really, really well, but it has no drawbacks of what an adhesive promoter will actually do to the car. Paint correcting a car to this level is a dusty process. In this case, it required a longer correction and significantly more compound than we would normally use on a Porsche. Porsche paint is relatively soft and typically only needs a light polish such as CarPro Reflect, but this situation required additional correction. More compound creates more dust, and that dust can ruin our PPF job. Because of that, this wash becomes even more critical than our standard wash process. The car is considerably dirtier than usual, and compound residue tends to cling to the paint, making agitation necessary. This is the third wash and the most important of the three. Normally at this stage on a Porsche, we could simply foam and rinse. Given the amount of dust present, that is not an option here. Everything must be fully agitated and thoroughly rinsed to ensure the surface is completely clean and ready for PPF, allowing the installation process to go as smoothly as possible. The reason this is the most important wash, in my opinion, is because it's like the doctor scrubbing in before a serious surgery. He might have showered last night. He might have even showered in the morning too, but those are not as important as washing his hands and arms for 5 to 10 minutes right before doing that surgery. So we really truly need to wash this car meticulously and rinse every inch thoroughly. We are also using a very specific soap that's very, very strong, that's going to, again, help make sure the paint is fully prepped and ready for PPF, and this soap and this wash process makes it so the film will stick to the car really, really well. Again, further pointing to that we don't need adhesive promoter if we do all the prep steps correctly. The GT4RS is a relatively difficult car to PPF. It's not the hardest car we've done, but it's far from the easiest. Take the quarter panel for example. At first glance it doesn't look challenging, but stretching the film incorrectly can create issues around the rear taillight area. If the film isn't fully floated and bulk installed the way we do it, adhesive lines are almost guaranteed. Our installation method significantly reduces those marks and often eliminates them entirely. It's an advanced technique and a more expensive approach, as it typically requires more material, but the final result is cleaner and more consistent. I don't care about saving $100 or $200 on material because we could have plotted it. I care about getting the extra 10% of perfect because I had extra material and could do an advanced install. And I think our customers care about that extra 10% too. You can see I'm reinstalling the badge here. There are some faint lines remaining, but the way I put the badge on, you simply cannot see those faint lines anymore. And after the PPF is on and the air gap happens, it simply won't be possible to see anything at all. Chasing the 1% in this situation to re-clear coat the hood is the wrong move. What we did preserved the OEM hood and paint. The issues are 99% resolved and what remains is simply not visible. It's easy to make the wrong move here and have a body shop potentially create a bigger deal and have spun bolts on your hood. Original is always better if we maintain OEM finish and appearance. That's why choosing a shop like us is very important when you need something like this repaired or fixed. We will help you resolve the problem and get your car back to new versus potentially create new, bigger problems. We will always help remove the stress, not add to it. Oh, and by the way, this is a very easy hood to PPF, so I'm pretty shocked they had so many issues in their hood install. Ours came out very nice on the first try. And last but not least, the most important step of the PPF install was cutting out that air gap. Okay, I'm kidding, but seriously, what the other shop? What were you guys thinking? Unfortunately, on the rear bumper installation, we simply were not happy with how it went. This wasn't really our fault. We did everything we could to prep this correctly. But when a car is used and not literally brand new, there will be extra dirt and dust in places that we can't really clean. So when we installed the rear bumper, a lot of dirt ended up leaking out of the rear taillights. This is pretty common and it can happen. And sometimes we can save it and sometimes we can't. A speck or two of dust here and there is not the end of the world, but this was like a lot. So we actually ended up redoing the back bumper. We don't redo panels often, but if something doesn't feel right and we're just not happy with the work, we will pull the film off and redo it. To that point, we were also not happy with the passenger side front fender. We ended up with some stretch lines and I just wasn't comfortable delivering a car with those present. It's actually pretty rare that we have to redo panels on a car. We might go several months without having to redo anything, and then maybe some months we redo one panel on a car. But I had to redo 2 panels on one car and that really sucked. But here's the point, we really want your car to look as close to perfect as possible. For all the PPF installers out there, just remember, we all make mistakes. No one's doing PPF perfectly 365 days a year and never redoing panels. Our YouTube channel might make it appear like we do that at some kind of god tier level, but we definitely redo panels occasionally. I just wanted to jump on camera and talk to you guys for a second about this fender. This fender isn't that bad. On a scale to 1 to 10, I'd say these stretch lines maybe are a 4, maybe a 5. And then that white dot thing kind of sucks. If it was just one of those things that was wrong, honestly, we would probably leave it alone because this is a hard fender to do, and the rest of this fender is installed literally perfectly. All the cuts are beautiful. So you have to weigh like what is enough and what is not enough when you have to redo something. This has like 3 stretch lines in one spot, then like the weird texture and stretch line on the other side, plus the white dot. That's a lot of stuff in one area. Plus, it's like on, this is just like high visibility. It's when you first walk up to the car, when you're looking at it at Cars and Coffee, this is a visible thing. Now again, this is something you're not really gonna see outside in the sun. The white dot texture thing, you'll see that in the sun. The stretch lines you'll almost never see in the sun, but you'll see the rest of this stuff in your garage, which is where these cars often spend time and where they get appreciated most by the owners. Ultimately, this breaks down to a thing where like, I have my car's over here and I have a stretch line or two in like my hood, because my hood's pretty difficult to do in comparison to this car's hood, which is pretty easy to do. The point is they're possible, but they bother me. This fender can be done without them. So I would like, this was a mistake that we made where the film was cut in a way where it was an accident and it was cut too soon, and then the film bounced back and we lost coverage, so the cut was really far back. So we had to stretch the film to make the coverage come back, and by stretching the film we made a stretch line. So that's just a user error. That's us. We made a mistake. So in my opinion, we owe a rewrap of the fender because we made a mistake, and we're pretty honest about that kind of stuff. But you have to weigh a rewrap on how many things are like likely to happen. So if the panel is really, really hard to do and rewrapping it might make 3 issues in a new spot, then you leave it alone. Like a 296 quarter panel is a great example of that. If this was in a 296 quarter panel and everything else was perfect, I wouldn't redo it, because that quarter panel is so difficult that the likelihood that I'll have an issue somewhere else very, very, very high. This fender is hard, but it's also relatively easy to do perfectly. Just because it's hard doesn't mean it can't be done perfectly. So there is no reason for there to be a stretch line or an adhesive line or any kind of issue in this section of the fender. So it should be redone. So we're going to redo it because we're not like the other shop. It takes time and it takes material cost to redo these kinds of things, and a lot of shops won't do this. It's one of the biggest things of why Status Detail is different than everybody else. We really, really, really care about getting things done perfectly. I looked at this thing last night. I thought about it all night. It bothered me. It bothered me this morning when I looked at it. I know it's not right. We got to fix it. Other people look at this kind of stuff. They say it's too much material, too much time, too much cost, too much labor. We can't redo it, and they send the car out. It bothers me all night, and we rewrap it in the morning. It's just a different philosophy between my shop and many, many other shops in the country. Because this car was used and it was at another shop who frankly treated it pretty badly, it was extra important to get a really deep interior clean done. My simple goal on this car is to deliver the car back to the owner in better condition than when he picked it up from the Porsche dealership. That means the entire inside of this car is going to be cleaned. Then it's going to be protected so it stays cleaner longer. Even when your car is brand new, like 20 miles brand new, we still clean the inside. You still have to remember lots of people have been in and out of this car from its time when it left Germany and got to the dealership. But when your car is used, this stuff is even more important to me because now we have the opportunity to really give your car back to you in the best condition that you've ever seen it in. And these are great opportunities for a detailing company to really blow the customer out of the water with how meticulous we can be. Once we reach the ceramic coating phase, we are nearly finished. I'm kind of running in a flow state. Like, I can coat this car with the lights off, eyes closed, and a hand tied behind my back. It's one of my favorite and most relaxing steps. It'll massively boost the gloss too, so it's always one of the most rewarding steps too. This will seal your PPF, making its durability better, but ultimately it's going to make it crazy hydrophobic. That makes it stay cleaner longer and faster and easier to clean. The first time you spray water on it, you will fully understand it's like looking at something defying physics. Comment below if you've ever stood in the rain to watch water beating. I've definitely done it. If you made it this far into the video as a new viewer or a returning viewer, I just want to say thank you for spending your morning or lunch break or evening with Status. It means a lot to me that people genuinely enjoy the videos and the stories and the passion I put into the business, and that can be seen through these videos. As always, like, comment, subscribe if you're a fan of the channel and want to see us grow rapidly. One of the best ways to help out is to share this video with a car enthusiast who might need to see it. And if you haven't already seen it, go check out the video on the blue GT3. It's called The Ultimate PPF Playbook. That video will go over a lot of tips that can help you avoid a lot of the issues that happened in this video, because I genuinely hate seeing this happen and would love to save your car from this experience. But if you just want to go the full-blown bulletproof option, then you know what to do. Give Status Detail a call or an email, and it would be my absolute pleasure to assist. To anyone who might be in a tough spot who is going through this exact situation, trust me when I say I understand how upsetting and frustrating that can be. But I can tell you every single car that has been in that situation has been returned to a customer with a huge smile and a phone call saying, "Evan, thank you so much for saving my car. It looks perfect now." If you give us the opportunity to fix your car, I can guarantee we'll have that same phone call with you too. I'll see you all in the next video very, very soon.